What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog, back in standard. Got a little janky best of one list for you. This one we're Selesnaya Mutate. Basically we're Selesnania, but we're splashing red just for Regal Leosaur. So basically a Landfall Mutate deck. Just trying to kind of go wide and then use Anthem effects with like some of the mutations like Regal Leosaur. And yeah, just try to push a bunch of damage across that way. Alright, so we got 4 Adventurous Impulse. Since we don't have too much going on in the early turns, we can kind of fix our draws. We are running kind of a minimum number of land, just kind of maximize these mutation and landfall creatures. And so Adventurous Impulse can either get us a land if we're stuck on lands, or a creature if we already have the lands that we need. 4 of Fearless Fledgling, so 2 mana, 1/1. Whenever land enters, we get to put a +1 counter on the Fledgling, and it gains flying until end of turn. So the fact that it keeps the counter on it is pretty amazing. Like if it was just +1/+1 and flying until end of turn, that would be pretty underwhelming. But the fact that it keeps the counter and then it gains the flying for that turn, and obviously we have ways to abuse landfall triggers, so we're probably going to be giving this flying pretty often, and obviously getting lots of counters on it. So with our mutations and our go wide strategy, we need ways to protect our board, so Heroic Intervention feels like kind of the best way to do that. So 3 copies here to give all of our permanents hexproof and indestructible. So of course hexproof, we can protect it from single target removal, and then indestructible from board wipes, or even like in combat if we're attacking, we just give our stuff indestructible, and then maybe we kill some of our opponent's things and keep our stuff alive, or our opponent feel like they need to attack into us, well we can give our just block with all of our 1/1s. Give it all indestructible, and kill some of their creatures. So Regal Leosaur, if not familiar, is a 2 mana 2/2. It is red and white. And obviously I want to take a second here to kind of talk about a little bit of deck building ideas here. So we're in 3 colors. We're splashing red literally just for this card, but the same holds true for any time you're kind of just splashing a 3rd color for something. As a 2-drop, you're probably not going to be able to get there very consistently, because that's the mana that you have least access to, right? But if you look at the mutation here for 1 and then hybrid of red or white, that's the real reason why we're kind of running it. Every once in a while we'll actually have the red mana to play it onto, and that's great. But most likely we're just going to try to cast this for the mutate cost, basically. And whenever it mutates, other creatures we control get +2/+1 until end of turn. We are running pathways, things like that, so there's definitely possibilities where we'll actually be able to cast this onto, but it's not going to happen very consistently just because red is just of our least important color. Canyon Jerboa. It's kind of a fun little janky card here. 3 mana, 1/2. Pretty expensive for what it does. Whenever land enters, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So really just trying to maximize these +1 Anthem effects with Regal Leosaur, Canyon Jerboa, things like that. And just kind of making tokens and kind of swarming our opponent, literally. And then getting landfall triggers and mutation triggers to pump up the team. Roiling Regrowth as a 3 of. Kind of tempting to run 4, but I feel like 3 is probably where we want to be. We want to kind of get our creatures down first, and then once we're kind of get set up, then cast this. So which means we don't necessarily need to run 4 of. We can kind of keep this in our hand if we do draw it, and just kind of wait until we're ready to actually cast it. Or if we have a 4 of, we're just going to see this pretty consistently, and maybe we'd rather have a creature in that slot instead. But this lets us get 2 lands onto the battlefield. That's 2 landfall triggers at instant speed, and that's really the key here over something like a Cultivate, which obviously gives us 1 land onto the battlefield and then 1 into our hand. Scute Swarm, of course, is the best payoff here for the landfall triggers and for ways to go wide. It does feel a little bit dirty mutating onto the Scute Swarm, but with all of our Anthem effects, that's kind of the real emphasis of it, is just make a bunch of 1/1s, Scutes, basically, or whatever insects, and then just give them the Anthem effect and just kind of kill your opponent that way. Just trying to be a little bit different here. We have the Cubwarden as well for go wide, as when it mutates, we get 2 1/1 white cats with lifelink, and it's a 3/5. Huntmaster Liger, just as a 3 of. I think the Cubwarden is just a little bit more important. And the Migratory Greathorn as well. So 3 Huntmaster Liger, 3 Gemrazers. They do have nice utility, of course. The Liger, of course, another way for us to get the Anthem effect, where whenever it mutates, creatures we control get +X/+X, where X is the number of times it has mutated. So your first time, of course, it'll be 1, but then you can potentially get this for +2 or +3 even. Gemrazer, of course, lets us destroy artifacts or enchantments, and then just a nice reach trample. And of course, all the mutations work extremely well with the Fearless Fledgling because it has counters on them. So you'll have your 4/4, your 3/4, your 3/5, or whatever, and then it'll have 2, 3, 4, 5 counters on it thanks to the Fearless Fledgling. So that's pretty sweet. And of course, Migratory Greathorn is a way for us to get some landfall triggers while mutating as well, because the land goes straight onto the battlefield when we mutate. Alright, that's the deck. So we are running just kind of a minimum number of lands because we do have like the Adventurous Impulse, the Regrowth, and the Migratory Greathorn to kind of tutor up some lands. Mana base here, we do have 4 plains, 1 mountain, 5 forest, 4 Cragcrown Pathways, 4 Branchloft Pathways, and then 4 Temple of Plenty. I'm not sure if we should be running Fabled Passage in this spot. No, let's try it. Obviously, Fabled Passage is kind of the best way to get landfall triggers, but we are running just the 10 basics, so it's pretty tight. But let's let's give it a try. Let's see if we can make it work with 4 Fabled Passages with the Greathorns. And the Regrowth as well, tutor up basic lands. It is pretty tight, but we have the Adventurous Impulse, which can get any land, which is pretty nice, so we'll see if we can make it work. Alright, let's jump into some matches. Alright, we're in Siren Song. Huh. So we have some options here. Obviously, Fabled Passage works well with Fledgling, but I almost kind of want to maybe start with the Leosaur. Leosaur is better to mutate on top of. So we'll try that. We'll try that path. And then we'll do Fledgling with maybe a Fabled Passage on 3. So we'll grab our 1 red source here. Now we have a Canyon Jerboa, so we have some options here. Liger can mutate as well, but we don't have much going on board-wise. So we have lots of nice payoffs, lots of nice anthem effects, but not necessarily ways to take advantage, though. So it can't attack, so I think we just play the basic here. And then next turn, could have attacked, but they probably don't block. But just in case, I think we'd rather just be patient. Passionate Orator because people just cannot get enough life gain for some reason. Well, there's a Scute Swarm. Fabled Passage. Grab a. We have a forest in hand and 1 in play, so we'll grab a plains here, white source. Oh yeah, look at those triggers. Attack in with our Fearless Fledgling. So life gain's pretty annoying, but we can go super wide, and then with our anthem effects we can do some pretty crazy damage, so we're gonna give this one a go. Passionate Orator being super annoying over there, getting him life. Cubwarden's pretty schmexy here. Much as it's tempting to mutate onto the Scute, we're just going to mutate onto the Fledgling. They don't have no way to block our flyers, so. Swing 7. And then next turn we can mutate onto the Leosaur with the Liger, and that's probably game. Ooh, Annex, aren't you a spicy tomato over there? Alright, so we have double anthem effects with Leosaur and Liger. All of our 1/1s. Pretty sure we just have lethal on board, but we'll let our opponent do the math. Obviously we have the 7 in the, well, if we find a land we have 7 in the air potentially. But we'll see. Either way, they don't really have good blocks, that's for sure. Okay, they're continuing to just grow their aspirant. I got to spread the counters there, but whatever do I know? All right, anthem effects. Let's go. That's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage, my friend. If they're able to kill some stuff here, we have another Cubwarden in hand. Hey, Scute Swarm going down. But they lose their entire board. But then the Annex gives them tokens. But we just pushed through too much damage thanks to the double Anthem effect there. And we're up to 45 life. We are a life gain now, as Captain Phillips would say. Alright, against Thorfinn 0095. Okay, we're missing white mana, but we have Impulse and Greathorn. So obviously just forest into Impulse, try to find a white source. Go Scute on 3, and if we're stuck on lands, we just mutate onto the Greathorn. Mutate the Greathorn onto the Scute. Assuming they don't have removal, they're on Temple of Triumph. Scute's tempting, but we do need this mana here, and it's a white source at that, so perfect. Roiling Regrowth, so that'll be nice to have later. Again, that's why we're not running 4 of, because now we're doing a whole lot of the value for us right here. Oh, even worse, they're in Mardu, so they're going to have lots of removal for us probably. Selfless Savior. You're playing Mardu Winota in the unranked play queue. Mardu Winota, unranked play queue. Some people just need to get their feel better about themselves somehow, you know, play the top decks in the unranked queue. Oh, 4 colors. Spicy. Okay. Is this like a Renin serialist? We're going to drop our Scute. Fledgling is pretty nice too, but I think we still run it out there. If they have an answer for it, then we probably just Cubwarden hardcast, and then we can kind of figure it out from there. Hopefully mutate on top of it. See, the land enters tapped. So still a couple turns away from doing multiple things. Hellhound can get pretty nasty, but haven't really seen any ways for them to abuse Landfall. They do have green, obviously, so they could have a regrowth of their own or something like that. I'm going to kill my Scute here. I'll take 2. Alright. Cubwarden, come on down. And I think we just hardcast it here rather than trying to mutate on top of the Scute. And they do have green mana open, so I don't think we want to test the waters here by attacking, so we will just hold up. So we have 5 manas open to us next turn. So we'll Fearless Fledgling. And I think we want to mutate on top of the Cubwarden and just get some 1/1s going. Banishing Light on the Cubwarden. Oh, that sucks. So I guess we have to mutate on top of Scute Swarm now. See what you made me do, opponent. I'm mutating on top of the Scute Swarm. I'm trying to avoid that because that is just a little bit too much. But you forced me to. You made me do it. Kuma Hellhound getting in there for 2. Well, life gain from the Cubwarden kind of sucks losing that, but oh well. I'll get that counter. Could also Greathorn on top of the Fledgling as well, but I'd rather just mutate here. Grab another white source. Some more landfall triggers are up to 6 now, so game's pretty much over. We hold back just in case they have a trick there. They have some open mana in white and red. Obviously, there are some 1-drops. Best of one, they're running like 4 colors over there, so who knows if they're running like some kind of Infuriate or Shock. Kunaros coming on down, sure. Igneous Carowin. Now they're tapped out, so we don't have to worry about combat tricks. Still have a card in hand, though. Something that's not a land. But thanks to mutating up a Scute Swarm, we're pretty powerful position here. Another Greathorn. Alright, this time we'll mutate on top of the Fledgling. They don't have any way, they don't have a reach or anything like that. Three-4 with counters on it is better than a 1-1 with counters on it, so we will take that. Take that action box. We have 3 green sources, so we'll grab another white source and balance it out. We already have the 1 red source, to which that's all we need. Let's have a board clear here. This game is pretty much over, but it's going to take us a couple turns to really get there. We'll just play conservative here, swing 6. And whatever we draw next turn, we have a Greathorn plus Regrowth. I think we just mutate on top of the Fledgling here, not to overdo it. And we already mutated on the Scute Swarm, so we're already kind of a bad person. We have, 5 Migratory Greathorns in play, plus 1 in hand. But without having a way to deal with this flyer, we just want to mutate on top of the Fledgling. Alright. Our opponent just got a 4-color Dago build. That's cool. Don't know what their green is for, though. We'll get multiple landfall triggers. So we're pretty close to putting this game away. Alright, so Kunaros has lifelink, so they're effective at 18. They've been holding 1 card in hand, so not entirely sure what to make of that. Again, we have a forest in hand, so we'll just grab a plains. We have the regrowth as well to do some nasty stuff. So they're effective at 18 here, thanks to Kunaros. But we're still probably in a position to attack. Swing all here. Alright, so we got 6 plus 8 is 14, plus 2 landfall triggers is 16. So not quite lethal, but pretty close to it, and our opponent has seen enough. So alright, against a Longhorn 12. That seems pretty reasonable. The Fledgling on 2 into a Scute Swarm on 3. Hopefully find a land and we can Cubwarden as well. Could double Fledgling here and just grow a bunch of counters and try to fly over their Death Touch. Or we could just let all our creatures die. Let's play this out as a red source, just in case. I think we just hardcast the Cubwarden. There you go, Gary. Got more removal there. Opponent, yep. Looking at that Scute Swarm. Grasp of Darkness. I mean, they've had perfect removal here both turns. Sweet. Cubwarden, come on down. Oh, still have 2 more creatures here. See if we can kind of get something to stick around for a little bit. Death Touch, you got it. You thought maybe I'd block there? I guess we scoop. Swing into the Almighty Brush where I get that 3 life. Alright. Some options next turn. Land would be ideal. Predatory Worm, sure. New lands. We just go ahead and go for the mutation here. Try to get some lands out. Should have clicked that differently, of course. Right, so we have at least 5 men open next turn. Almighty Brushwag with 4 manas open. You got it. Pump, pump, pump it up. Get that 4 damage in. Alright. Go with the Fledgling first. With the Liger. Make some more 1/1 tokens. A white source now. Couple landfall triggers, pumping up the team. Oh man, look at that. Look at how nasty our board got. Man, did you see that? Man, our board just got so nasty there. Whew. Obviously they weren't dead on board, but with a 4/4, I think they would have just waited till next turn to attack, and then Roiling Regrowth would have given us multiple landfall triggers. And we're running so few lands that we're probably not going to draw a land anyway, but still might have even been a couple more turns if we actually killed our opponent. So, yeah. Alright, against Lennox. Seems like keep to me. Fabled for a red source. And get the Leosaur down on 2 into Scute. And then go from there. You have Gemrazer or Regrowth. And Master Deck Builder over here. 250 cards. Carefully curated, I'm sure. Like, if you like the randomness, just play Brawl. You don't need to play 250 cards, dude. But of course the algorithm fixes the draws, and so it makes it seem like these decks are actually playable. So people are gonna keep doing it. So thanks, Arena, for making these decks seem playable. If it is your thing, go for it, but it just feels like not usually fun to play against. So oftentimes you either just don't draw anything relevant at all, and it's just a total non-game, or the shuffler somehow gives you like exactly what you need. Swing 2. Oh, just a Greathorn here. Oh, Treetop Warden. Teamer. And we'll just mutate on top of the Leosaur. Make it a 3/4 instead of a 2/2. Pump up the team. Grab a Plains, I guess. Just attack with the Greathorn. We don't want to give them an opportunity to trade off with the Scute Swarm just yet. Especially until we get to 6 mana, which we are going to next turn. Oh, Warden of the Chain. That's pretty spicy. Obviously could mutate on top of the Scute Swarm, but I'm trying to avoid that because it just kind of basically it's a little bit overdone. So we'll mutate on top of you. I'll take a 4/4, I guess. We have a Plains. Pump up the team. Not quite lethal yet, so we'll pass. We have Regrowth we can do at instant speed and get more Scutes here. Why not? Oh, I'm pretty sure that's lethal. Alright, we'll mutate on top of here, so we get the Leosaur trigger. Down to 2 basics. We do have the Fabled Passage, so we'll definitely get 1, but it's kind of what I was a little bit worried about. We have millions of Scute Swarm, so we don't really care if they kill the original one. Okay. As I'm talking about, 250 cards, do nothing. But we got to do our thing, so I'm happy with that. We'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Alright, so yeah, just kind of a fun little janky best of 1 list. Obviously you can mutate on top of the Scute Swarm and be that guy if you want to, but kind of trying to avoid that and actually mutate on top of the Huntmaster Liger, mutate on top of the Regal Leosaur, and actually get that sort of those Anthem effects, and you know, use the Scute Swarm and the Cubwarden to kind of help you go wide, and then use the basically everything else kind of gives you Anthem effects. You know, the Jerboa and the Fledgling obviously benefit very nicely from the Landfall triggers, and most of these are, you know, obviously 3 and 4 drops. You know, these mutate for 3, otherwise they're 4 drops. So we're pretty heavily concentrated in there. So the Jerboa fits in nicely, the Fledgling at 2 mana fits nicely, and just getting flying when you trigger your Landfall is pretty great. And just being able to run 20 lands naturally with the Greathorns, the Impulse, and the 3 copies here of Regrowth. It's felt pretty smooth. I haven't really had too many issues with the mana base here. And yeah, definitely think you want all 4 Greathorns just for the cheap mutate option and the Landfall trigger, and the Cubwarden, of course, all 4 of, just to make sure you can get additional tokens. And then Scute Swarm, you know, it kind of is what it is. But it's obviously the best thing we can be doing for the Anthem effect, kind of go wide, but we're trying to avoid mutating on top of it because that's just a little bit too obnoxious, because it's just so overdone, even though it's just barely even been in standard. But you know, if that's what you want to do, go for it. Canyon Jerboa is a card that doesn't really see any play because it's 3 mana 1/2 that gives you a +1/+1 boost to on a turn, which is just not very good, but it synergizes with what we're trying to do. So, you know, definitely wanted to find some way to play this card. It just has some pretty cute artwork here, obviously. Leosaur is pretty sweet here. I think it's worth the 2 copies of, even though we're not really doing red for anything else, because you can still mutate on top of it. You don't even need red for the mutation cost. And then the Fledgling, of course. Heroic Intervention protects your board from obviously a variety of removal situations. And yeah, we're pretty all in on this one strategy, so it's not really much you can sideboard out to make it a best of 3 version. So yeah, just a fun janky little best of 1. So thanks for watching, guys. So next time, make sure you jank with a purpose.